So I met Parker years ago in a state where neither one of us lived. And it was the first time I had done YLF out of state. First time Parker had facilitated a youth leadership forum. And I just really was quite impressed with his abilities to get everybody fired up in such a way that you have never been fired up before. Yeah. All right? And so at that time I said, Parker, I'm going to bring you to Kansas sometime. Well, it took me 12 years, but by God, Parker's here. Yes, yes. So let's give him the welcome and the respect that he so rightfully deserves. Yes, that's it. Nice, because that's how we roll, right? So Parker's bio is in the brochure, but I just want you to know that we welcome you to Kansas with love, and glad you're here, and let's get us rocking.
All right. Well, first of all, Stephanie gave me like the biggest hype intro because this conversation I've got is not hype, but I hope that you guys can find some hypeness in it. And I again apologize because I have to read off this script. I would freeze. I'll get into that story a little later then. All right, so, and everybody's laughing, I like it. All right, guys, thank you so much for having me today because I am extremely honored to be here, especially with the fact that it's the 20th anniversary for the Olmsted decision. Do you guys know about it? And I'd like to further express my gratitude to Stephanie and her team. As she said, she's been wanting to do this with me at this capacity for so many years, and now I'm a real boy and I can do this with her. But thankfully we've got some support behind it, and so I'm beyond grateful to be here, and I also want to say thank you to the interpreters too for making this a more inclusive space. Yes. Also, if I drop my phone, I might cry, so you guys will see something that not the world has ever seen before. Oh, thank you, Renee. All right, so between scrolling through the Self-Advocacy Coalition of Kansas's Facebook and hearing from past Miss Wheelchair Kansas title holders, I know nothing but great achievements come from the Kansas disability rights movement. So when Stephanie sent me a message that said, hey, do you want to be a keynote speaker in Kansas? I was like, what on earth would I talk to you guys about? I mean, you guys have the Yellow Brick Road, so what more can I give you? So I didn't know how to respond, but I wrote back and I said, well, what do you want to know? And so faster than I could cut a corner in my wheelchair to be the first in line for free donuts, Stephanie wrote back to me and just said, yourself. And I don't know if anybody else in here has anxiety, but that's like choosing option D, all of the above. That gave me nothing. And I could have asked more questions, but I didn't. I chose to instead sit and try to put something together. I sat, I wrote, and I deleted about 5,000 times until I finally got to this podium. So you guys have the 50,000th version of my conversation today? But, so after, that's what happens when I skip a script, guys. See, don't do that. And I also have to note that this is my first keynote, so you guys can thank Stephanie for this awkwardness. You're welcome. All right. Good job. But after realizing, after the 30th attempt of trying to write something down, I realized that the thing is that we can talk about is the fact that our actions are what speak louder than our words. And that's not the fact that I'm going to be doing an interpretive dance up here because I have zero rhythm, so that's not happening. Sorry, guys. But our actions are truly where diversity and inclusion reside. If we are truly showing our actions, but don't get me wrong, because higher up, knowing definitions and folks in higher entities and data trends are all important. But when we go to the Capitol to advocate with our legislature, or when we're set up to be peer supporters, what is the one thing that they encourage us to do? That's to tell our stories. And our stories are the products of policy. Our stories are what foster what could be vital details for others. They prove that the shameful wall of exclusion is still tumbling down. So I'm truly going to stop stalling now, and I'm going to let you guys in on some secrets as to how I went from pint-sized Parker to present-day Parker. A lot can happen in 30 years. It was certainly not an overnight transition for me to be able to be up here and proudly let you guys know that I am a disabled trans man of color living in the influential city of world-renowned game changers, which whom of you may know. Okay? Ludacris, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Congressman John Lewis, and Lois Curtis. I tried my best with every opportunity that I got, and I tried to connect with as many folks as I could, because we all know that as folks with disabilities, we have to work significantly harder sometimes just to fulfill our basic needs. And let's not get into the fact of how long it takes to maintain those supports that we finally established. Within 3 decades, I learned from a number of leaders, but the first of whom I took lead from was a powerful woman that I like to call my mom. Until I turned about 15, my mom was my leading advocate. She was the reason I was on stage for my first preschool performance, and then she was the reason why I crossed that stage with my peers to receive a high school diploma, contrary to whatever my school wanted me to do, which was graduate with a quote-unquote special ed diploma. All because I had that individualized education plan. All because I needed I needed accommodations. Throughout my academic career, my mom made sure I was not left out. She made call after call, read every single book under the sun, and attended every meeting. You can imagine how well the schools knew me after email was a thing. My mom even ended up going to college with me, and that was pretty awkward. Apparently she took those classes already. It wasn't until after college that I really started to be my own advocate. And yes, I had the years between 15 and age 19 to practice, but nothing compares to real life activities. My family wasn't ready at the time, but I still went for my first and one of my biggest goals, to move out of my parents' home. I was 19 and I did my research. I just graduated college with an education degree, and I really tried to mirror some of what my mom had taught me throughout my childhood as far as what advocacy meant. What else could go wrong, I thought? Unfortunately, like I said, my parents were not on board with this plan. So I wanted to try to prove to them that I could do it. So I pushed for it, and I tried to gather even further resources than I had. My strongest advocate at the time was now against me. Finally, after a few bouts with my arch nemesis, guardianship, and power of attorney, my double doors to self-determination and an independent living-driven life, I did write this, I swear, opened up for me. With the support of my local Center for Independent Living, I was able to go on to pursue what was called a person-centered plan. I'm pretty sure you guys know what I'm talking about, right? A path plan, all those fun things. But little did the center know that I was ready to leave and move out that night. That evening, I was ready to go. And I was ready to live as freely as I thought it was going to be. I didn't have the years that they expected in this plan to be for me to anticipate, to wait and move on. But they helped me, this Center for Independent Living did something that was more than I could ever, this conversation could ever do. But they helped me better articulate what it was that I was trying to say with my, at the time, novice self-advocacy skills. And that moment, it clicked for me. These folks were just like me. Or was it the other way around? I was like them. I guess it would be the other way around, that I was like them. But the more important thing was the fact that they knew what this situation meant, because they had either gone through it themselves, helped others, and I had no choice but to understand what peer support and independent living was. These folks, my new community, the disability community, was there before me in front of my biggest advocate and fighting on my side, against somebody I never thought would be somebody I had to be against. I also know that is not a good thing to say, but I just did. Sorry. This was my community, and with the support of the Center for Independent Living and the disapproval from my family, I still made the big move. This was the biggest, yet hardest, and best goal I think I would ever achieve in my life. Now, an Orlando resident, I got a reality check. I acquired my first job, my first partner, my first apartment with friends. I was also introduced to another community that resonated with me, the the LGBT community. As time did its thing, I was learning more and more about myself and the fact that I am ridiculously complicated. I now resonate with two different labels. I'm disabled and I'm queer. And like I said, it was complicated. I had friends though that were with me and they went up to bat for me. They helped me not fill the role that my mom did, but they helped me get the idea that I wasn't alone and that within any community I can still find that group of folks that will go up to bat for me. Unfortunately, even though I did say LGBT community, it's not all rainbows or butterflies. It was life, and so I had to learn how to navigate this new life on my own and with my new community. The only thing that wasn't new was my voice, or my goals. So thanks to my friends that I made, they were able to help me keep in line. I was going to say keep me straight, but that's not possible. In line with what it is that I wanted. But it's still what I was now involved in the LGBT community and I still lost touch with my disability community. So I had to get reconnected again. This was crucial because nothing is better than being amongst those who truly understands what it is that we're going through. And at that time I realized I needed two different communities to help me get to that point. After being engulfed into the just kidding. So I took advantage after, realizing and making the connections that I needed with both communities. I was then brought the opportunity to travel to attend a national conference. And this was only disability related. And that's at least what I had in mind. So I took advantage of it. I went to, I don't even remember the first day, at first conference location, I'm 30, I'm really old, don't judge me guys, please. But I got there and I realized that, again, I wasn't the only one with a disability, but now I'm not the only one who identifies as disabled and queer. In the same conference. I thought I was just going for a free trip and some cool snacks on the plane. After meeting everyone and being so rejuvenated, I had to go to the next conference. And I had to be more involved with my community at home. Because that's kind of what these conferences do. They really make you realize the greatness that you're doing at home and the things that still need work done. And knowing that you guys aren't alone, right? So after being engulfed into these communities that resonated with my identities, I built up the gumption to move one more time. This was from Florida to Atlanta, Georgia. But this turned out to be more than a bigger move than I expected. I moved to a space with folks that I didn't know. Before I was moving solely out of my parents' house, in with friends. This time I moved state lines into Georgia, and my mom flipped her stuff. She flipped her stuff. I'm pretty sure this is going to be seen by my mom, and I don't want to say those bad words in front of her, But she flipped. She said, how on earth are you going to move from one state where you have everybody here to Georgia, where you don't know anybody? Well, I didn't go just out of nowhere. I mean, I didn't just come up with the idea to move to Atlanta. Sadly, I'm not a big history buff, so I had no clue what I was getting into. But I did know that I would potentially have a new job and an opportunity to have a life of my own, truly. To me, knowing nobody meant that that person couldn't tell me that they thought they knew better than me. That meant that I had no choice but to make my decisions. Where I wanted to live, what I wanted to eat, what I wanted to wear, and how much money and how well I wanted to save it. And let's not talk about my savings because it's bad. I haven't gotten to that skill yet. Just haven't made it. Okay, I'm actually just going to tell you guys a quick story that Stephanie told me that if I don't tell you guys, that she's never going to ask me to come here again. So I'm going to go into that and hopefully something will come to mind. How's that sound? Cool. So I was supposed to, I arrived here on what day? Thursday. And I get a call from Stephanie, again, giving me a little bit of anxiety, but I love her to death. She says, so somebody's gonna pick you up and they're in a red van. And I was like, okay, cool. Well, apparently it was red van season in Kansas at the airport because there were 5 of them. So I went out, and I kind of get the idea of what an accessible vehicle looks like. So again, I'm looking around, looking for that vehicle. It's still not there. So I'm like, okay, cool. Finally, I find the guy, and I say this because the guy had the audacity to say he found me. But, okay, whatever. He had there were 5 red cars, and I was the only person in the wheelchair, but I found him. Okay, that's fine. So be it. I find him, I get in the car, and he's trying to get to know me a little bit better. He's like, oh, so where are you from? I'm in Atlanta. Cool. What do you do there? Told him what I do. He was clearly bored. He stopped, picked up a call, then he goes to hang up, and he goes, so there are more folks like you in Atlanta? And I was like, oh yeah, we got a lot of Koreans in Atlanta. And the queer community is amazing. He definitely wasn't ready. Then he goes, no, you know what I mean. To which I did not know what he meant because that was the fun of it. Of course I knew what he meant, sillies. And so he goes, no, like you. And so I go, oh, you mean ambidextrous? My new friend who never gave me his name now believes that my disability is ambidextrous. He then asked me, how do they treat you down there? And I said, I mean, they give me the pen in one hand and it's okay. It's like they got it every time. It's the right hand. It doesn't matter. And he says, what? I said, what? What's your what? And he goes, well, no, that's not what I meant. So now I made him say it. And I said, in the back seat, all cool and collected, what you mean? And so I got my PA sitting next to me. She is awesome. She's just hanging out, headphones in, not listening to anyone, not even listening to me, and I had to pee for a minute. But anyway. He looks up in the rearview mirror, faces her, and goes, you know what I'm talking about. She takes her earbud out and goes, what? You talking to me? The guy was never able to say the word disability. And then he goes, well, because I'm driving you. Like, why am I driving you? And to which I said, well, that's because society doesn't know what universal design is, and it's not inclusive as we think it is. That's why. He got my number, but he didn't get my name, so I don't think he's going to text me later. I know, trust me. You said bummer, trust me, I know, I need a ride back. And I was hoping for something more fun. But the point is that, yeah, I don't even know the point, but that sounded like a good segue, didn't it, guys? I had you all. I feel like I could just tell jokes up here and we're good, right? Really? Okay, why not? So I'll tell you guys about the time my mom really panicked. I was finally in Georgia, and thankfully we have a great metro system. It is awesome. It's called MARTA, and she's my baby. I can go to the grocery store, the mall, anywhere I want, as long as it's within the perimeter. So I'm not going to be able to go to Savannah, but anywhere within Atlanta, Georgia, I can now get to, which is cool. But driving is still fun too. But I told my mom. She calls me. what are you doing today? Well, hello, Mom. How are you? I'm great. I'm actually about to go to the train station with my friend who's blind. His name's Ken. Your friend who's black? No, Mom. But I mean, I do have black friends, so that's cool too. There's nothing wrong with that. Chill. I said blind, Mom. You're gonna get on a train with a blind man? To which I said, Mom, you let my brother babysit me, and he didn't even know how to make ramen, so I think we got this, it's fine. My mom says, well, how on earth is that gonna happen? What are you gonna do? You're gonna tell him how to use it? Oh, Mom. If you're looking for the reason why I moved, this is it, Mom. This is it right here. No, I said, Mom, this guy has been living here for so many years. He told me he knows where to get the new iPhone. I need it, Mom. I need it. She says, well, how do you know he's going to do this right? How do you know he knows what he's doing? I was like, Mom, the man clearly lives somewhere, and I see him at work. I don't think it's like magic that he gets there. And she goes, well, maybe his mom takes him. Mom, my friend is 60. So then she had the audacity to deflect and tell me to get friends my own age. Came back, girl, came back. So I said, Mom, it's gonna be fine. It'll be fine. Well, don't go late at night, it's gonna get dark. I said, Mom, he's blind, what does it matter? Stop it. God. She says, okay, well, call me when you get there. And I said, well, I don't even know where I'm going. She goes, well, when you get there. And I said, oh, okay, I'll call you. So my friend took me to a bar.
All right.
Called my mom at the bar. And, yep. And I said, hey, Mom, I made it. Oh, that's great. Where'd you end up going? Cool. Yeah, it was a good ride. Yeah, it was great. It was a good time. But where did you go? Church? The bar is a church. It's called a church. The bar is called church. So I didn't lie. I wasn't lying to my mom. And so my friend did not know that I was on the phone. So I'm talking there. And he comes up and over me. He's a really big, tall guy. Up and over my shoulder. He goes, hey man, what are you going to get to drink? Audio description, Ken. I'm on the phone with my mom. Please give me a moment. And a Jack and Coke, please. Hey, Mom. Yeah, everything is great. Yep. Something about Genesis, Mom. Yep. All the beginning. It all started. It was great. I remember. Yep. Oh, well, you have a great time, sweetie. You get home safely. I don't know if my mom just didn't care or did not look at the time because it was late. And she clearly did not say, what church is happening at 10 p.m. right now? But okay. My poor mom now thinks I go to church. Cool. But needless to say, seriously though, if my mom, unfortunately, I was her only perspective of what disability was. So whenever she saw somebody in a wheelchair that was in some sort of profession, that was exactly where I had to be. So in some life, according to my mother, I was a teacher. Somewhere I was answering phones for a front desk. And then of course my favorite, you know, walking or sitting in Walmart, staying at the entrance and welcoming everybody. But then I told my mom one day too. I was like, Mom, I'm gonna not go to school anymore. What? That was the best mom impression I can do, but she was livid. You are going to what? I put you through school? Well, no, technically you didn't. The state of Florida did. But I was like, but I love you. And she clearly did not think I was funny. Which made it awkward when I said I want to go into comedy. She's like, what are you going to do? How are you going to do that? And I said, well, all I need is my life experience and my voice, so I think I'll be fine. Well, where are you going to go? Who are you going to do stand-up for? I was like, church. My poor mom still thinks it's a bar. Still thinks it's a real church. Anyway. But I didn't start a church, which is fine. Or a bar. I took my mom's words to heart, though, for a second. I was like, wait, maybe I am meant to be a teacher, or a door greeter, or whatever ungodly position she thought would work for me and waste all my funniness. I don't know. And then she says, why don't you go be an actor? There's this person on CSI and and they've got this standing wheelchair, and I'm like, yeah, they probably got the best freaking insurance too. They don't have to go through the hoops of dealing with Medicaid, am I right? So she said, oh, apparently I am right. So my mom says, if you want to be so funny, you want to use your voice, go be an actor. And I was like, maybe. Unfortunately, what stopped me was the fact that my mom only saw one person in the media. I am beyond grateful to be alive today, to be able to see in the media folks being more represented. More folks with disabilities, more queer folks, more people of color, and folks within the intersections of all of the above. Because then now that does give me the feeling like, hey, it is possible, or somebody is out there doing the dirty work, because it is going to be a lot of hard work. Did anybody watch the Tonys this year?
Yes.
So if I bring up Ali Stroker, you guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Indeed. Okay, you guys have to give her some more props for that then.
Yeah.
She got a Daytona. But who we cannot give props to are the folks ahead of the Tonys.
Yes.
Did anybody notice that Little Miss Stroker had to receive her award in the wings, while the rest of the cast received their award for Oklahoma on the main stage? That's a prime example of the fact that yes, everything is transitioning to be better, and yes, we are all here to work together for this and for our communities. But there's still folks that just don't get it. They thought it was okay for her to receive it, and that it was air, and that's enough. And it's not. And so I'm hoping that folks in this room can go beyond these walls, share with folks how you guys roll, because y'all's stories will then change and help, again, be catalysts to folks not like Ali Stroker, but beyond. And just as talented. So hopefully we can create platforms like that. This conversation went every which way as possible, but I appreciate you guys, every single one of y'all, being patient with me, not doing that awkward clap when I froze, and then not throwing tomatoes at me, because tomatoes are gross. And I don't think that Stephanie was here during that freeze, so we won't tell her. It was an awkward, good, it was a fun moment of silence, right? Silence, yeah, okay, cool. I'm not sure how long I've been up here. I was told I have to be up here for 20 minutes.
You're good if you want to close up just a little bit.
Oh.
We're running on the schedule now.
Fabulous. Fantastic.
If you want to close up, that's great.
I told your story about your taxi friend.
Yeah, we're never using that taxi again. Ever. Okay, ever. And we'll be having a chat with the boss, okay? So I got you, Parker.
I got y'all. So when in doubt, guys, just tell folks if you don't want to tell them your disability, which there is nothing wrong with that at all. But if they cannot get the word disability out, just tell them you got ambidextrous.